So, is there anyone here who doesn't have experience meditating and needs a little guiding to get going? A little bit of guiding for you? First few minutes. Okay, I'm happy to do that. Yeah, exactly. Good. We'll let these last people sit down. Mm. So, the first thing I like to think about is my posture. And the most important thing about posture is to have your spine straight, and, kind of use the chair to support yourself and make sure your head is sitting on top of your spine, which I know it is no matter what, but, you know, in a nice straight energy flow up your spine and maybe out right out the top of your head kind of feeling. So you're kind of a connection between the heaven and the earth. And then feel your body. Just you close your eyes and get in touch with how your whole body feels. You can do a 1 minute body scan with your feet, your toes, notice them, your ankles, your heels and ankles, your calves, your knees. Just feel each little part of your legs, the thighs, feel your whole abdominal area and your belly, your hips, your rear end connecting you to the earth. And coming up your waist, your chest, your breast, your back, your shoulders. Feel those big shoulders. And come down your arms, upper arm, elbows, lower arm, those two bones in there that wrap around each other, so cool. Feel your hands, your fingers, your fingertips. And come back up to your neck. Feel your neck up there on the top of your spine, your jaw, everything relaxing, everything feeling good and relaxing. And if something isn't feeling good, we just acknowledge it. Hey, a little problem there. We're going to be kind to you, little problem. Your face, your ears, back of your head, back of your neck, and the very top of your head, and that very topmost little spot where that energy that we were talking about can shoot up to the heavens. So now you have a body. And isn't that great? So now that we're kind of in the body, embodied, let's find the breath. So just don't do anything, just notice your breath. Notice 2 or 3 breaths. And let's just think a little bit, what's my breath like right now? Is it slow or fast? Is it even or uneven? Is it shallow or deep? Just notice the breath and let it be however it is. We won't control the breath or change it on purpose. We'll let the breath find its own way. It knows better than we do. So whatever the breath is, just be with it. Notice the in-breath. Notice the out-breath. Try to be in a position with your feet flat on the floor and your hands someplace nice where you don't have to move at all, so that you can just pay attention to your breath, because that's the practice we're going to do. We're going to start with this mindfulness of breathing. And all that means is you notice the in breath, you notice the out breath. You notice what the in breath is like. You notice what the out breath is like. Maybe one of them is a lot longer. Maybe they both last the same. But that's the mindfulness of breathing practice. Just sitting still with your attention focused on your breathing. And that's a great way to start the practice. Some of you may have other things that you like to do with more experience, but I would suggest we're going to sit a half hour or 25 more minutes. Stay with the mindfulness of breathing for half that time. And then you might let go of the breath and practice what I like to call, what people call choiceless awareness. So, what does that mean? It means that you're going to, it's like you're sitting in a seat in the middle of a house, and there's a door and 5 windows, and those are your 6 senses. And you stay in your seat and you watch whatever comes in your house, every thought that comes into your mind, every little sensation in your arms, your legs, your feet, whatever your body's saying, and all these thoughts that are coming in. Oh, there's that memory from the other night when so and so said, but you know what? I'm not going to follow that right now. I'm going to stay in my one seat. Oh, I've got a plan for that big party. What am I going to do? I won't do that right now. I'll stay in my one seat, and we'll let, as each thought comes in the door and the window, we'll recognize it with gratitude and let it go. So that's what I call choiceless awareness. Just this awareness without any discrimination of whatever goes on. So you might try that for the second half if you can remember. And I hope that's enough to kind of keep you going with some interest. So I will stop talking and I will ring the bell at around 6:30. If your mind has wandered, that's normal in meditation. And we just come back. Whenever the mind wanders and we realize that it's wandered, we come back. Come back to the practice, come back to the breath, or come back to the one seat and just watch. Watch what's happening. Watch what's happening. Watch all the thoughts. Watch any emotions. Watch any reactions. Just notice. Notice everything that's going on in your mind. And try not to judge. Just be there. So we have just a few more minutes to our meditation practice. And maybe for these last 3 or 4 minutes, we can make an extra effort to bring energy to our process of staying present, being very present to everything that's going on in the mind, the thoughts that are coming in, how we're reacting to them, and just letting each thing go as it arises, and just staying still, enjoying that present moment in our own mind. And we'll take a 5 minute silent break. It's time. So I'm Mary Helen Fein, and I'm one of Mountain Stream's community Dharma leaders. Uh, and have just enjoyed being part of Mountain Stream for a long time. I just let you know this is a very special night for me because I've decided to not teach anymore. Mostly because I'm getting so old that everything is an extra effort. I love teaching, but then there's a lot of hours preparing and traveling and all this sort of thing. So I'm very excited about tonight being my last, unless I change my mind. I reserve the right. So, so my my talk tonight is about stress, and stress uh, is a kind of suffering, but it's a kind of suffering that we don't always identify as suffering. You know, if you uh, lose a friend or have an argument with somebody or fall down steps and break your leg, you know you're suffering. But with stress, we don't always realize that we are actually suffering. Instead, we feel hurried, we feel rushed, uh, we're concerned about not having time to fulfill all our obligations or not having the skills to fulfill all our obligations. And so we're suffering when we're stressed. So it's a particular type of suffering that is very common in our lives because we live in this fast moving society with information overload all the time, and it gets us to that stress point. So I hope we can talk about some ideas about what we can do about it and how to lower it. You know, the world is just so busy. Um, I lived in New York and Philadelphia, and the cities are just like, you can even buy a candy bar without hurrying and being efficient and have your change ready. And, um, now we live here in these more laid back, lovely towns of the Sierra Nevada, and they're so great. But nonetheless, there's plenty of stress here, plenty of things. We can always create stress for ourselves, and we do. Um, and sometimes it gets so bad we feel practically frantic. Our minds are racing. We're not doing one thing, we're doing four things, and they've all got to be done in a hurry. So just now, when we did our meditation, what we were doing was nothing. We weren't eating, we weren't chewing, we weren't watching TV, we weren't uh, planning, we weren't remembering. We were trying not to anyway. But our aim was to really kind of do nothing. And that nothing is a real vacation for the mind. It just gives it a chance to calm down, relax, let go. But, and so we're lucky as meditators that we know about that, because a lot of people don't even know about doing that. And our mind, well, it's really our most important resource, isn't it? It's like the best thing we've got in a way. Um, we rely on our minds to be happy, uh, to be content, to be stable, uh, to care for and be considerate of others, to create things, to be spontaneous, and to perform everything the very best that we can do. So our mind is a very important resource, but a lot of people don't feel any need to take care of their minds. They take better care of their cars. Okay, we're going to bring it in every 6 months. Never miss that. Or our teeth, get those fixed. I don't want any cavities, but we get cavities in our mind, because we don't stop. We don't do any kind of mental uh, refreshing. But as meditators, we understand the need to take care of the mind and to provide it with that time to do nothing, which is so rejuvenating. And you'd think doing nothing would be easy, but as you well know, it's not easy. If it were easy, there'd probably be 100 people here tonight. But we're few, but special. And the reason it's hard to do nothing with the mind is because the mind is always putting out the next thought. You know, the old bubble machine metaphor, that these bubbles are constantly just being put out by the bubble machine, thought after thought. I think the bubbles are a really great image for thoughts in a way, because they arise, they kind of float in front of us, our thoughts, for a little while, and then they drift away and get replaced by the next one, and we totally forget what that previous one was. They're just like bubbles. The mind really is kind of a bubble machine. So as meditators, we learn to watch the mind and not take it too seriously, not believe everything that the mind thinks, and to stay in the here and the now. But we're still subject to the pace of this world that we live in, and we are affected by it. So I thought just in this talk, it would be helpful to be aware of how that kind of information overload and activity overload works on us. I recently hosted a small party for 11 people. Just, I got some sandwiches from the deli and everybody came, and wasn't any big special thing, but I was nervous. I had my husband was like, will you calm down? You've known these people for 20 years. I was like, I wanted everything to be so nice. So even though we have nice motives, we get in a stressed place. I was not a calm person that day. So sometimes we can get stressed about a good time, like I did, and sometimes difficulties can cause us stress. Sometimes we may feel aloneness or isolation. Uh, Difficult events happen, even if they happened a long time ago, they stay with us, and separations and divorce and death, and those things can really wear us down and cause more stress. So let's talk about why we get stressed, because it's really a physical thing. The body's response to a challenge or a demand, and the acute stress response in our body is fight or flight. You've heard that. So just imagine with me, it's 5,000 years ago, and we're going for a walk in the tall grasses in Africa, and you see a lion in the grass 25 feet away. So what happens? What happens in the body. And it's a very strong reaction, a profound physiological reaction to a threat to our survival. There's a little almond-sized area of the brain called the amygdala that plays a big role in our emotional life. And when we see that lion, the amygdala jumps in, and it starts to run the show. It kicks in the adrenal glands, and there's like a hormonal cascade. Your breathing gets faster. Your heart rate gets faster. Remember, you've got that lion over there. All this is happening. You don't decide any of it. It happens on its own. Your blood pressure goes up. Your blood vessels constrict. Your clotting functions are enhanced in case you get cut. Fat is released, and other energy sources are automatically released at that time. So you have more energy available and liberated. Your muscles get more blood, and they can supply extra speed if you need to run. Other areas that are not relevant are shut down. Your digestive system isn't working. It just gives up its energy to these other parts of you that need it. You may not hear very well. People lose peripheral vision in stressful situations. Tears and saliva are blocked. I don't know if that's where big boys don't cry comes from, but it might be. So just kind of keep that list in mind. All these things that physiologically happen that are not a choice when you see that lion. Well, this evolved before humans. This evolved when it was a gazelle who saw that lion, or a giraffe, or some other species. And when humans came along, we inherited this stress response. And it works perfectly. It works perfectly when you encounter a lion. You run to the nearest tree, you've got all this energy, you climb the tree, you're breathing fast, you're moving faster, you watch the lion chase you to the tree, come to the bottom of the tree, and he can't climb it, and you're safe. And after a little bit, he gives up, walks away, and your stress starts to go down. Stress arises, and then it returns. Everything in your body that I listed before goes back to normal when the threat is over, and the system returns to what they call rest and digest, homeostasis, stable equilibrium, everything's normal. So this worked great for zebras and gazelles and all those animals that had to run from the lion. And it works great for us too, whenever we have to run from a lion or a bear in the Sierra or a rattlesnake in your yard. It works great. But for humans, this stress reaction is a problem because it was designed for animals with smaller brains than ours. Our brain has more cognitive capacity and a tremendous ability to imagine. So we don't need a lion. We just have to think of a lion. We just have to imagine a lion, and we can get that stress reaction. So that's how we're different from what nature may have intended. And we can have a full-on stress reaction with all those things happening by imagining. It might be a lion, it might be a mortgage payment that you don't know where the money's coming from, it might be a problem in a relationship, but stress can take over because we're imagining, we're thinking about things. And that whole system, the heartbeat, the blood pressure, all kicks in. So that's the problem. So what are some of the things in life that cause stress? I'm going to give you guys a chance to talk in about 10 minutes. So if you're thinking of anything, don't forget it. But I'll list a few things. If you have a brand new situation, like maybe you have a job and your boss wants you to learn this whole new computer program, or organize the whole team into some new way of doing the things that you normally do. Brand new stuff can give us stress. Complicated new things. Unpredictability can cause stress. Just like, I guess, classic examples, a blind date. What are they going to be like? Or I'm going to like the first meeting of the dog lovers society of Nevada City, and I hope I'm going to like everybody. What if they don't like me? A threat to the ego. Suppose you're in the Toastmasters club and it's your turn to give a talk. You want to give a good talk, you want to help people, but there's a little ego as well. You want to look good, you want people to think highly of you, and that can cause stress. Lack of control. 8 years old and your parents are getting a divorce. You have no control, you have stress. So, brand new situation, an unpredictable situation, a threat to the ego, and a lack of control. Those are four big things that can cause us stress, and we run into them all the time. There's a list that I came across when I was looking into this topic of the uh, 5 biggest causes of stress. I just thought you'd be interested in hearing it. Loss of a loved one, divorce, going to jail, personal injury, and losing a job. Those are all hard things. But to top it all off, thinking about any of those things will cause stress. So thinking about losing your job, thinking about going to jail, imagining it can cause the exact same stress reaction. I think it's good if we can learn to tell the difference between actual stresses in our lives and when we're imagining them. So if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling that kind of antsy stress feeling, ask yourself, is this, am I being stressed about something imaginary? Or is it actually happening? So that's just a good thing to know, don't you think? Long-term stress. People get into long-term stress situations with maybe they have an ongoing health problem or a difficult ongoing relationship or financial trouble, high pressure job, or people who are in disasters or are crime victims or things like that can cause stress. So we feel overwhelmed. We get into this long-term stress situation and we feel our minds racing. We don't feel good about ourselves. We may have insomnia, upset digestion, different kinds of pain. We could overeat and gain weight or undereat and lose weight. Different people react differently. Get a skin rash. Some signs of stress: clenching your teeth or grinding your teeth at night, neck and shoulder pain, uh, hunched up shoulders. It's almost like a posture of safety that we're trying to create for ourselves. Grinding teeth, clenched jaw. So, we demand an awful lot of ourselves, and that causes stress. Matter of fact, we really almost demand perfection of ourselves. We want to do everything so right. We have this kind of notion of perfection that, you think about the universe and the sun and the planets and the moons and the asteroids. Everything is so perfect out there, right? Not here. All those planets are just rocketing out of their orbits every day, aren't they? So we have that concept of perfection. So if you're stressed, and we all are to a degree, remember that people can change. I think that's so important because sometimes we kind of assume that it'll always be that way. Um, Everything changes. The Sahara Desert was a grassland 1,000 years ago. Now there's a change for you, right? Uh, Sweden was a terrifying Viking invader, and now they're the most peaceful country in the world. Things can change. They haven't had a war in 200 years. Our brains can change. Buddhism teaches us that our suffering arises from greed, hatred, and delusion, and that those three kind of negative parts of our being human beings kind of make the world go round, don't they? If you look at the wheel of life, well, there's no picture of it right here, but they're right in the middle. Greed, hatred, and delusion. A pig, a snake, and a rooster. Thank you. So so we just need to learn to work with our minds. Notice what's going on in our minds. Notice the stress and try to step back from it. Try to focus. Try to have clarity. Try to handle stressful and demanding situations with calm. Can we stay calm? Calm is the antidote to stress. I'd love to just throw this open to discussion for a little bit here. Let me look at my schedule. I'm a little early, but no, I think it'll be good. So Jen is gonna walk around with the microphone or call on the Zoom people. And
This is Robin over in Zoom land. If you are on Zoom and you have a question, you can go ahead and use the hand up on the Zoom, or maybe wave and I might see you. And Jen will call anyone up front or in the hall.
all comments, questions, welcome.
Great. Okay, I'm going to pass the microphone. Say your name.
Hi, this is Douglas. I guess I'll start us off. In fact, I one time saw a lion and I had this most extraordinary reaction. Without thinking, I was in a van and without thinking about it, I started rolling up all the windows of the van. And I went into all those descriptions that you had of my body, freaking out just by seeing this lion, even though I was in a safe space. Anyway, so that was interesting to hear your descriptions of how the body reacts and how we gain this at another time of evolution,
Yeah.
I wondered about the distinction between anxiety and stress. Is there a distinction there that you see or came across?
I think they're different. Anxiety, I think, here's how I think of it. And I did notice them in the stuff I was reading being distinguished from each other, that anxiety could be a result of stress. Because stress seems very much life event based. These things happen, we get stressed. Whereas anxiety is on a higher level, a higher plane of the mind without necessarily having such precise causes and conditions. Maybe I think of it that way. If that's helpful.
At one time, I was a delivery person in Los Angeles, and I would get into a state of stress. and I got addicted to it. And if I wasn't in a state of stress, I felt I was shortcoming in my effort.
Right.
And it really took a lot to pay attention in this environment of traffic lights and wanting to get to the next delivery. It really took a lot to alleviate and free myself from that addiction to stress, you know?
That is so interesting. I was going to mention Los Angeles in this talk, but because what a stressful place it is whenever I'm there, the traffic and the, like the New York busyness, but combined with this huge traffic. And I don't know, just,
Yeah, try being a delivery person.
my God, yes. 30 minutes to get that pizza there or whatever.
Okay, we try and ping pong back and forth. So is there anybody on Zoom right now with the question? Because we do have another question in the hall. Okay, we'll take it from here.
Thank you. So I think the biggest thing to concentrate is how stress feels in the body and recognize it when it happens. Because there's the real stress of the lion, and I'll give you my personal story. I was a rock climber for quite some time,
Mm.
and you're 500 feet off the deck and you have no protection. It looks like you're going to do a pretty good fall and take your partner down. You're both going to die.
Mm.
And what happens is exactly what you talk about is first your leg starts shaking. So that tiny little hold you're on is about ready to give loose, and your hands start sweating so they can't grip, and your heart's racing like crazy. You're breathing too fast, and your peripheral goes from here to here. You can,
Mm-mm.
oh, okay, I'm sorry. So, so yeah, peripheral goes from here to here. And then one other thing too is I think our cognitive skills really drop when we're in stress. So
Mm.
that's like a perfect example of stress that you can look at and see and feel and not have much of a story about it. The story is just, as they say in rock climbing, the fear of falling will kill you.
Mm.
So you have to stop it. You just, in the first time you just stop the sweat, you stop the heartbeat,
Mhm.
and then you look over here and there's a ladder 5 feet away. And not a ladder literally, but
There it
it's,
is.
yeah. So when stress happens to us, I think one of the most important things is to recognize those feelings. You're not going to have sweaty and shaky hands, but you're going to have some feeling. And if you can start to identify that feeling, this is stress coming on, before you go into the story, because that long-term stress or the anxiety that's created is from all the false stories. You know, your son just started a business. Maybe it's not going to go well. He's going to lose his family. He'll be moving in with you.
Oh, no.
The story just can go on, and then you can ruminate that story, and you can keep yourself in that level of a lot of cortisol, adrenaline, all of the things that were necessary for running from the lion or taking care of yourself climbing on this cliff, um, are they're not healthy for us in
Yeah.
a sustained period of time.
Yeah.
So the thing that I like to work on is noticing the feeling when it comes, recognizing that the stories that follow are not necessarily true. As a matter of fact, they're made up. And and then when we get into what we study in Buddhism is that I'm just here now. I'm
Mm.
only here today. I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know if I walk out and open the car door, if someone's going to hit me with the car coming up the street. I don't know that I'm going to have a moment beyond this moment. So why am I making all this story up about next week and next year and, or all the possibilities that's going to happen from this stressful event? So just going back, I like how you brought the description of stress up first and then started talking about long-term stress, because the long-term stress is when we believe whatever that notion or thing is. And there's one other stressor that's even more difficult, and that's the response to trauma. And trauma is buried in us, just like a DNA almost.
Hmm.
And an item can come up later and create stress that we don't recognize, we don't know. I watched a therapist work with someone who's wonderful couple, got along really well, but when he walked downstairs after dinner to work on his HOO train stat, she thought he was abandoning her. Now, she didn't cognitively put that together, but when he walked down those stairs, that feeling of abandonment came to her from the massive abandonment she had as a child.
Mhm.
So, there's the unrecognizable, and then there's the very recognizable. But our first clue is just, oh, I feel it right here. Like I have to
Right.
get up and talk in front of 25 people.
Right.
And
I know.
or I have to write a speech within the next 5 minutes to give to them. And then maybe they won't like me. And you talked about ego and all of those other. So just, for me, I need to feel it. I
Mhm.
need to say it's stress. And I need to not listen to the story.
Yes.
And even if the story is possibly real, I might not be here when that possible thing is going to happen.
Yeah.
So, I have lots of stories like that, but I just watched my son go through one of those things, and and it didn't happen. But before it didn't happen, he had the world ending.
Yeah.
So that's all.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say that you made one really point that I had meant to point out and somehow skipped, and that is that um, you may have stress whenever you see a pair of yellow socks or something, that is not normally a stressor, but you have, and you may not even know those deep associations from how that started when some trauma happened and there was someone in a pair of yellow socks. So there's a really good point that we don't always, it's not always, because we're giving a speech or something that makes,
This could be made up.
no, yeah. That's it. Thank you so much.
Looks like Kai on Zoom has a question.
Hi, I think I'm unmuting. Mary Helen, I just wanted to say that I love you and that I am sorry that you are retiring at such a young age. And I hope to see you again and hear your Dharma talks in the future. And your topic stress is very timely. I'm actually living out here on the Outer Cape for the summer. I've been here 3 months. When I got here, I was pretty stressed out. But as previous gentleman mentioned, thinking about dying the next day kind of, gets you out of that mindset. I actually had a near-drowning experience my first week here, and it was quite dramatic. But I survived, and I have to tell you, it really settled my stress.
Huh.
I don't recommend it, but it does put things in perspective when you wake up and realize, wow, I might not have woken up, but here I am. What am I going to do with the rest?
Great point that, a real danger can compare with the imaginary things that we're stressed about in a way that could be helpful. I think that's what you said.
Am I back on?
Yeah, you're back on.
I don't know where I left off, but thank you. That's say thank you for showing up, everyone, and I appreciate you all very much.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to pass the microphone. Merle.
Hi, I'm Merle. Yes, thank you so much because, I came here about 2 years ago, Mary, and I've heard a lot of your positive, uplifting talks, and they've always been really warm, and I've appreciated it. Yeah, I was just, listening to everyone talk, and I had just one heck of a week. And stressors, all these stressors, mostly around my children. And my middle daughter was visiting. And I'll just keep it like really short, but she didn't lock the door to where the puppy was, the new puppy that she brought. And so I ended up in Mountain Stream right after my dog got hit in front of me. And my dog got hit in front of me 2 years ago, the same place that her dog got hit 4 years ago. So when she didn't lock the cabin door a couple of days ago, and speaking of Buddhism, I didn't say anything in the moment, but boy, I was pissed. And I knew that if we did not find that puppy, I shouldn't say I knew, but I had a really strong feeling that if we did not find that puppy, and it died on Highway 49, because I've moved from Highway 20 now, I live close to 49 now, and I chose not to get a puppy because I live close to 49. That things were going, they were already going very south already really fast. And it was interesting because it happened to be that my youngest was with us, and my middle was with me and visiting. And it had been a while since she visited, so we were all together. And all of a sudden I just thought, how in the heck are we having another trauma bond moment? I cannot figure out where these come from. And I have a lot of that in my history. And my back went out. Other things did not happen though. We did find the puppy. Somebody picked him off the Highway 49 and took him to Sammy's. But he survived, and he was a puppy, and thank God, very slim where I live. The highway's very narrow. Anyways, so yeah, I think my question is if you have a response really to, I keep trying to set boundaries with these kids, like this is way too much for me all the time these days because I've just lived through so much stress. And on a more positive note, some of the things that didn't happen, like we did find the puppy. I mean, my back went out, which is kind of a new thing. But and then I was also communicating with somebody who was interested in me, and I was like, I can't talk to you. So that's interesting too. I was like, can't talk to you. You're in the back burner. But it's that there were some other things that I'm going through that I don't want to go into, but I didn't regress, and which was really positive. So because I was scared about that, because my health is recovering, and I'm so grateful. So thank you so much.
It's great that you didn't regress. That's this development growing, right? And the only thing, I don't know, I don't have kids. I can't imagine. But I just, calm has got to be the answer. If we can find it, if we can find that calm and just try to bring it into our heart and into our situation. And it calms the other people down too, if we can do it. I know it's very difficult. Don't want to make it sound easy because it's not. But
yeah, I remained calm, but then when we found the dog, I burst into tears. So not for sure. I'm not for sure. And then my back went out, but I stayed calm. Anyways,
good
thank
for
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. And we have another 5 minutes or so for questions. If you have anything on your mind or comments, be useful too.
I'm going to pass the microphone here in the hall.
Hi, this is Marcia. So good to have you here, Mary Helen, all these years that you've supported Mountain Stream. Thank you so much for your good heart and energy and all that you've brought to all of us. So thank you for that. I just wanted to, I'm sure most people have heard about the story of I don't know if it was 13 kids that were caught in a cave in Thailand. It was a couple years ago, and they were trapped. And the floodwaters were coming in, and they were trapped, I think, for over a week, and they had no food or water or anything. And I remember at the end of the story when they were rescued eventually, they attributed it to staying calm by meditating. The children who were in their teens and younger were, because they were from Thailand, they had a meditation practice, and they all meditated and they all survived a period of time where the oxygen was so low that if they were stressed, they would have sucked all the oxygen out of the cave. I
Mm.
mean, there were all these kind of really interesting things that happened during that time that were so unusual, but it really speaks to the power of when you can concentrate and just calm the system, in the face of real danger and something so horrific. And plus being with a group of people. I mean, it's just kind of an amazing story. I know they did a film on it too. Um, but that's a real example of something that is kind of beyond the normal for sure. So I just it made me think of it during your talk. So
Thank you so much. I hadn't thought of that in a while, and I didn't know those details, so appreciate it.
This is Jen. Do I see a hand on the Zoom? Great. Please, Robin.
Hi, Mary Helen. Thank you for your talk. You're very timely for, I guess, the stress talk is always timely because we live in this material world. But I was wondering if you could maybe share how your experience, your practice and teaching with Mountain Stream, how you have noticed that it's helped with your stress, how you dealt with challenges in your life, and if you have any stories or anything you'd like to share.
Sure, thank you. What a great question. I mean, I guess I really started the practice in 1993 when I met John, and there was an Auburn group forming, and I just moved here and I joined that group, and boy, my whole life changed. Before that, I was moving so fast all the time. And, I grew up in New York, and that was a good way to be. And all of a sudden I'm in California and people are, you know, I, I wait for them to speak and they don't speak for 20 minutes. There's different conversational patterns, that you're not used to. And, but anyway, when I found the practice, I mean, just looking at these last 35 years or whatever it is, it's just had such a wonderful effect on my life. I have this kind of base and center from the practice that I can rely on it. And I think I started getting it very quickly when I began the practice. It just, as soon as you go into the mind and try to be still and notice what's going on, it just changes everything. I used to believe everything that came through my mind. And, and then I learned, wait a minute, that's nuts. The mind will think anything. It's totally shameless. So I don't have to go along with all that stuff. And just also believing in, the ability to change. Uh, that I can have a good life. I can be happy. Wow, I could be happy. And today I feel real pretty happy. Not every minute. And don't ask my husband. But basically, I feel the practice has just helped me be a happy person and have a good life. I can't say it any more with so much gratitude. I say that with so much gratitude.
Thank you, Mary Helen.
Thank you so much for asking.
And thank you for your practice so that you may share the teachings with us. We're very grateful.
You're so welcome. So I will just do a little metta to close this part of the evening. So we'll come back into kind of a meditative practice position with your spine straight if you have enough energy left and your feet on the ground. But this time we'll bring attention into the area of the heart and feeling there our what is really our humanity, our ability to care for one another and for ourselves, and just trying to feel that in your heart, that we have this beautiful capacity for kindness, for caring, and for love, and that makes us human. So just breathing into the heart. And thinking of one person in this world who you care for very much. Picture them in your mind's eye and send them this beautiful feeling. And send it to yourself at the same time. Send this beautiful feeling of kindness and love to yourself. We have to care for ourselves before we can care for anybody else. And then this one person, sending this kindness and caring to this person, wishing them well. Imagine your friends and family